Hello and welcome to Sleepy Science Story. This is your time to slow down, to let the world soften at the edges, and to drift somewhere quieter for a while. Tonight, we're going to gaze gently upward into one of the most ancient questions the sky has ever asked us. If there are so many stars, millions, maybe billions, then why is the night sky still dark? It's a question so simple, it feels like a child might ask it while staring out the window at bedtime. And yet, it's one that puzzled scientists for centuries. It turns out, the darkness above isn't just the absence of light, it's the presence of distance, time, and stories we're still unfolding. Together tonight, we'll float through sleepy facts, each one a soft star in a quiet constellation of ideas. Some are scientific, some are poetic. A few might make you smile in that fuzzy, just before dreaming kind of way. Let's begin not with a bang or a burst of energy, but with a question that floats so gently it might ride the breeze above your pillow. What is darkness really? When we say the night is dark, what are we actually looking at? Is it an emptiness? A curtain drawn over the stars? Or is it something more patient and mysterious? Something deeper? The night sky, from our little perch on Earth, appears like a vast ocean of nothing, sprinkled with scattered islands of starlight. But here's the secret, that darkness is not an absence. It's a presence. It is full of space and time, of light on its way, of echoes from stars too far to see, and whispers from the beginning of everything. It only looks empty because we are so very small, and light is so very fast, but not fast enough to show us everything at once. The darkness is not just a backdrop, it is part of the story. It is what allows the stars to shimmer. If the entire sky were filled with uninterrupted light, there would be no contrast, no quiet, no place for dreams to stretch into. It is the darkness that gives the stars their voice. It is what makes them sparkle, like shy thoughts flickering through the edges of sleep. Many of the spaces you see as black are not truly dark at all. They're glowing in colors your eyes simply can't detect. Light comes in many forms, from ultraviolet that burns without a flame to infrared that warms you invisibly. All around us, light is whispering, even when our eyes cannot hear it. The dark is never fully silent. It just speaks in frequencies we haven't learned to feel. Imagine for a moment that you are floating gently in space, drifting without gravity, wrapped in silence. You look around and see stars winking across the velvet sky, but between them, there is distance. Vast oceans of space, filled with dust, with gases, with wandering photons from stars long extinguished. You would not be surrounded by blackness. You would be enveloped by a kind of sleeping light, one that has grown tired on its journey and now glows too faintly to reach your gaze. Even what we call empty space is teeming with activity. Quantum fluctuations stir beneath the surface. Particles appear and disappear in a constant dance of maybe and maybe not. Energy flickers at the edge of possibility. The dark is alive with potential. It waits, it holds, it remembers. And so when we stare up and say, "The sky is dark tonight," we are only telling part of the story. Because what we are really looking at is a canvas that stretches forever, a cradle for stars and galaxies and thoughts we have not yet thought. We are looking into the pause between notes in a cosmic lullaby, into the breath between words spoken by the universe itself. The darkness isn't empty, it's just quiet, and in that quiet, everything begins. There's a quiet assumption we carry, perhaps without realizing it, that the night has always looked this way, that darkness has always wrapped around the stars like a familiar blanket. But the truth, as whispered by the oldest photons and cradled in the memory of the cosmos, is that the sky was not always dark. In fact, there was a time when darkness hadn't yet been born. Long ago, before the Earth had oceans, before it had clouds, even before atoms came together to form the first hydrogen star, there was only light. Not light like we know it now, but something more total. The entire universe, everywhere, all at once, was filled with it. You wouldn't have seen stars because the light wasn't coming from pinpoints scattered across space. It was coming from everything, every direction, from a kind of glowing fog that had no edges. It wasn't a sky with stars, it was just sky, a blinding sea of brightness stretching in all directions, humming softly with newborn energy. If you could have floated there, back in those first few 100,000 years, your eyes wouldn't have made sense of it. There would have been no shadows, no contrast, no up or down. Just a bath of gentle radiation wrapping around the beginnings of time like a warm blanket. There was no night and no day, because there was no Earth to rotate and no sun to circle around. There was only expansion, only becoming. Eventually, as the universe cooled and began to spread out, that brilliant fog started to thin. Atoms began to form, simple and patient. Hydrogen first, then helium, drifting together in vast, slow clouds. Light, which had been trapped for so long, bouncing off particles like fireflies in a snow globe, finally found room to move. It began to travel freely, for the first time since everything began. This light is still out there. It's older than galaxies and older than time as we measure it, and it is still glowing. We call it the cosmic microwave background, and though we can't see it with our eyes, it is everywhere. It is a soft memory of that glowing time before darkness existed. As more time passed, the glow faded. The free-floating light stretched and cooled, and slowly, gradually the universe dimmed. Darkness began to take shape, not as an emptiness, but as a space between the stars that hadn't yet formed. It was not the absence of light, but the beginning of contrast, the birth of shadows, the promise of stars to come. So the sky you see tonight, with its deep velvet quiet and its gentle scattered sparks, is not the original version. It is a result of time and patience and cooling and waiting. It is the quiet after the brightness, the hush after the first song of the cosmos. The night we know today is a gift that only arrived after the light had time to calm down. As you close your eyes and imagine that early universe glowing softly all around, let the thought settle you. There was once only light. The dark came later, not as something to fear, but as something earned. A gentle pause in the brightness, a place for dreams to live. If you've ever tilted your head to the sky on a crisp night and wondered why the stars don't cover every inch of the heavens, you're not alone. The thought drifts in softly, like a feather landing on your pillow. There are so many stars, so very many, billions in our galaxy alone, trillions more across the universe. If there are stars in every direction, stretching across unimaginable distances, why is there still so much black in between them? It seems like a simple question, but as with most of the universe's gentler puzzles, it leads us down a quiet hallway of thought, one slow step at a time. Because if the universe were infinite and eternal, and if stars were scattered evenly in all directions, then yes, the sky should be lit up like a lantern held too close. No gaps, no shadow. Just an endless field of starlight in every direction you turned. Your eyes, and yet, when we look up, the night sky is mostly dark. The stars we do see feel precious, sparse. Each one flickering in isolation, surrounded by more quiet than glow. The spaces between them are soft and wide, like unfilled pages in a book. That darkness is not just poetic, it's real, and for a long time, it didn't make sense to the greatest thinkers of their time. The answer, like many answers in the sleepy world of space, comes down to time. Not the ticking kind on your wall, but the kind that stretches and bends and waits. The universe is not infinitely old. It had a beginning. And that means the light from the farthest stars hasn't had enough time to reach us yet. Their glow is still traveling, crossing a stage so vast that even light, the fastest thing we know, can only take it one graceful leap at a time. You might picture light as something instant. A switch flips, and there it is. But in the great distances of space, light behaves like a wanderer on a never-ending journey. Some stars are so far away that even after billions of years, their light hasn't arrived at Earth yet, so we do not see them, not because they aren't there, but because they are still on their way. Every patch of darkness in the sky might simply be a future starlight, still in transit, a gentle postcard that hasn't yet made it to your mailbox. And then there's the matter of what lies between: dust, gas, invisible clouds, whole galaxies whose light has stretched and faded or slipped beyond the reach of our vision. Not everything that glows can make it through. Some starlight gets scattered or absorbed before it ever reaches us. Some never had the chance to begin with. Stars live and die, and some never shine long enough to send their light very far at all. So the darkness between stars is not a mistake. It's a memory, a boundary, a place where light has not yet arrived or where it has faded away. It is the edge of our sight, not the edge of the universe. Tonight, when you look up and notice the space between the stars, remember that you are seeing not an absence but a delay, a pause in a song that is still being sung, a quietness that carries the promise of light yet to come. Long before we had rockets or telescopes that could peer, through time itself, there lived a man who found himself unsettled by the night, not because he feared it, and not because it was too quiet, but because he was too curious to let it be. His name was Heinrich Wilhelm Olbers, and though he lived in the early 1800s, the question that kept him awake at night was the same one that flickers through many sleepy minds today. If there are stars in every direction, if the universe is full and infinite, why isn't the night sky blazing with their light? It became known, in time, as Olbers Paradox. A soft contradiction wrapped in the velvet folds of the cosmos. If the universe is infinite in both size and age, and if stars are scattered throughout it evenly, then shouldn't every single point in the sky be occupied by a star? Shouldn't the night be as bright as the surface of the sun, filled edge to edge with the glow of countless distant suns? But it wasn't, and it isn't. The sky remains mostly dark, with only the occasional shimmer of distant stars. For Olbers, this was more than a curiosity. It was a kind of cosmic riddle, a question without an answer that made even the darkness itself feel mysterious. At first, some thought the answer might be dust. Perhaps the spaces between stars were filled with cosmic soot, blocking the light. But dust, as we've come to learn, does not last forever. Over time, it would absorb light and heat up, and eventually, it would begin to glow as well. If the universe had always been shining, then even the dust would shine back. The sky would still be bright. Others thought that maybe the stars were not as evenly spread as we imagined, or that the universe bent in ways we didn't understand. These guesses were thoughtful, like fingers tracing the outline of a dream, but they didn't settle the question. The real answer, as it turns out, comes not from distance or dust, but from time itself. Olbers did not know, could not know, that the universe had a beginning, that time itself had, to a starting line. That light, for all its speed, has not been racing forever. There simply hasn't been enough time for all the light in the universe to arrive. Many stars are out there, yes, but their glow has not reached us. Some are too far, some are too faint, some never had the chance to shine long enough. So Olbers Paradox, though haunting in its phrasing, is not a paradox at all. It is a mirror, reflecting our place in space and time. We live in a universe still in progress, a painting not yet finished, a light show still warming up behind the curtain. The night sky is dark not because it lacks stars, but because it holds stories still waiting to be told. And Olbers, with his quiet question, helped us begin to understand that the silence of the cosmos is not empty. It is thoughtful, it is deliberate. It is the kind of quiet that invites you to listen closely. So, as you drift, and as your thoughts move gently through your own questions, remember this: even the mysteries that have no answer yet are still worth holding. Even the questions that make no noise can still light the way forward. Let's take a moment now to think about light. Not as a burst or a flash or something sharp and sudden, but as something soft, something constant. A river that never stops flowing, even when no one is watching. Light feels fast because it is. It can travel across oceans in less than a second, through glass windows, into our eyes, and back out again before we can even blink. But when we stretch that light across the canvas of space, where distances are measured in mind-bending numbers, even something so fast begins to feel slow. When we look up at a star, we are not seeing it as it is, we are seeing it as it was, because light takes time to travel. The nearest star to us beyond the Sun is called Proxima Centauri, and the light it sends us takes more than 4 years to get here. That means even if it disappeared this very moment, we wouldn't know it yet. For 4 more years, it would keep shining in our sky like a ghost of itself. The night is filled with these little time travelers, beams of light sent long ago, arriving only now, tapping gently at the edge of our perception. The farther we look, the further back in time we go. Telescopes become time machines. The darkness becomes a library, each photon a page in a cosmic diary written by stars we will never meet. Some of the galaxies we see through high-powered lenses are billions of light years away. Their glow launched when Earth was still a dream inside stardust. We do not see them now, we see them then. It's almost like living inside a lullaby that takes billions of years to finish its verse. Some stars are singing still, some stopped singing before our sun was even born. Their light continues on, brushing softly against planets and moons, until one day it reaches us. And still, there are many stars whose light is on the way. We are waiting for songs we don't yet know the melody to. The night sky is not empty, it is delayed. This delay is not a flaw, it is not a mistake. It is part of the design. A gentle reminder that not everything arrives all at once, that even light, for all its speed, must travel with patience, and that perhaps we too can learn something from that. We do not have to rush toward every answer or race through every moment. Sometimes we can drift. We can move at the speed of wonder, slowly, softly, certainly. The speed of light may be the fastest thing in the universe, but in the grand scheme of cosmic distances, it is still subject to time, still bound by the space it must cross. And because of this, the night remains dark in places where light is still in transit. So when you lie beneath the stars and wonder why there is so much black between them, think of it not as darkness but as anticipation. as the space between notes in a beautiful song, as the pause before the next twinkle appears, and let it lull you gently into rest. The sky above us may feel eternal. When we lie back and look upward, it is easy to imagine it has always been this way, with stars gently twinkling in their distant places, moonlight spilling across quiet rooftops, and darkness stretching endlessly. But the truth is even more beautiful. The night sky is not timeless. It has a birthday. The universe itself has an age, and just like us, it has grown and changed with time. About 13.8 billion years ago, everything we know began. Not with a sudden explosion the way fireworks light up a summer evening, but with a quiet expansion of space itself. In that moment, time began, space began, and light, the very thing we're speaking of now, was born into the world, but it did not instantly spread across the heavens. The stars we know and love did not appear right away. For a long time there was only warmth, soft and glowing, filling every corner of the young universe. This beginning set a limit, a gentle boundary on how far we can see, because light takes time to travel, and there was a time before light could even move freely. That means there's a maximum distance light can have traveled since the universe began. Anything beyond that limit remains hidden from us, not because it doesn't exist, but because its light is still on the way. So no matter how powerful our telescopes become, or how long we wait, we can only see as far back as the light has had time to reach us. This is why the night sky has darkness in it. Not every part of the universe is visible. We are surrounded by galaxies and stars too distant to be seen yet. Some may never be seen at all. They live beyond the cosmic horizon, that quiet edge of visibility drawn not by a wall, but by time itself. The farther you look, the younger the universe becomes in your gaze, until you reach a moment when there were no stars, only possibility. You could think of the night sky like a glowing field seen through a window, just large enough to show part of it. There may be more beyond that frame, fields of stars, oceans of galaxies, but their light simply has not reached us. The darkness, then, is not a blank space. It is the outline of the universe we are able to witness, wrapped gently around our place in time. What makes this all the more soothing is that we are living in a moment when we can still see so much. The light from distant galaxies, the afterglow of the very beginning, the quiet shine of stars millions of light years away, they are all here now, visible to us, gently arriving in our corner of space. One day, far in the future, more and more of this light will slip beyond our reach. The expansion of the universe will carry galaxies so far that even their light can no longer make the journey. But for now, while you rest, the stars are still singing, their lullabies are still being heard, and the darkness, though vast, is just the space between notes, filled with the soft music of an aging, glowing universe. So close your eyes and picture that slow expansion. Picture light unfolding across space, gently pushing into new corners of time. You are part of that story, resting in the quiet between beginnings and the edge of all we can see. As you lie there now, letting your breath slow and your thoughts settle into a gentle rhythm, it's comforting to remember that some of the stars twinkling above your head may no longer be there. They have lived out their lives, burned through their fuel, and quietly collapsed or exploded into something else entirely, and yet their light is still arriving, still dancing its way across the canvas of the night, still being seen, still being wished upon. This is one of the more tender truths of astronomy, that what we see when we look up is not the present. It is a past layered upon pasts, folded into the surface of now, Every twinkle is a message from a time before, a time when that star still burned with energy, radiating light in all directions. That light has traveled across space for years or centuries or millennia, and now, softly, it finds you. It lands on your eyes as you stare skyward, perhaps on your window pane, or maybe just in the back of your mind as you close your eyes and think of the stars. Some stars we see are close enough that their light takes only a few years to reach us. Others are so far away that the glow we see left them before humans had even walked upright. Some of them sent their light when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. Others glowed when the earth itself had barely cooled from its fiery birth. The stars are not only distant in space, they are distant in time, and this distance brings with it a strange kind of comfort, because it means that what we see in the sky is a great archive, a glowing time capsule. Imagine a library where every book glows, each one a story from a different era. Some of the stories have ended, some are still being written, and some have only just begun. The light from a star is a page in that book, a page that took millions of years to reach you. That star may no longer be burning, but its story has not finished being read. In this way, the night sky is filled with ghosts, not the scary kind, but the gentle glowing kind. Quiet reminders that light outlives its source, that energy keeps moving, that stories, once released into the universe, continue on long after the storyteller is gone. It makes the night feel less lonely, less cold, because it means that even endings are not endings, not really. So when you next look up and see a familiar star, try to imagine the journey its light has taken to find you. Through dust and gas, through silence and time, across distances so vast they make even the loudest worries feel small. That light is ancient, it is patient, it is kind. And even if the star that sent it is gone, the memory of it remains. This is one of the reasons the night is never truly dark. It is always filled with memories, with echoes, with messages that took their time. The next time you see a star blink into view, you might just be looking at a farewell sent millions of years ago, finally arriving, gently and on time. Let that thought soothe you as you rest. Let it remind you that even the quietest things, even those long gone, can still shine, still be seen, still be part of someone's sky. If you have ever watched fireflies in the summertime, you might remember the way they blink in and out across a dark field. Their lights are small, but they catch your eye. Not because they light up the whole world, but because they don't. Their glow stands out in the darkness. They are quiet sparks, scattered and brief, but beautiful in their distance. That is how galaxies feel too. If you could pull back far enough, if you could float above the universe and look down like a sleepy traveler hovering on the edge of dreams, you would see them glowing softly in every direction. Some clustered tightly, some drifting alone. They are the fireflies of the universe, glowing gently against a dark and endless meadow. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is just one of these soft little lights. It feels enormous to us because it contains everything we know. Our sun, our moon, our planets, our stories. But in the scale of the universe, it is one among billions. Each galaxy holds its own stars, its own dust, its own ancient history. Each one flickers with light, although much of that light will never reach us. Not because it is not bright, but because the darkness in between is so vast. The space between galaxies is filled with silence. Not the kind of silence that feels cold or empty, but the kind that feels sacred, like the hush between heartbeats. These spaces are not lifeless. They are simply resting places. Stretches of calm between glowing cities of stars. and it is within those spaces that the night finds its deepest quiet. When we look up at the night sky, we see only a few thousand stars with our eyes. But hidden beyond that, the soft dome of black are countless galaxies, too far and too faint for us to glimpse without help. Some of the deepest telescope images ever taken show that even a tiny patch of sky, no wider than a grain of sand held at arm's length, is filled with thousands of galaxies. It is hard to hold that thought for long. It stretches the mind like a yawn stretches the body before bed, slow, gentle, wide. So the darkness between the stars is not truly dark, it is simply distance. It is the space between fireflies, where your eyes must rest before the next flicker. It gives shape to the light. It makes the glow matter more. Just like silence gives meaning to music, the quiet between galaxies gives their light a place to breathe. And as you breathe now, slowly and softly, you are part of that same rhythm. Your heart beats gently beneath the same stars. Your breath rises and falls with the same patterns. You are one small flicker of light, resting between galaxies, between stories, between moments in time. Let the thought soothe you. Let it fill your chest with the quiet comfort that even in the great stretch of space you are not lost. You are simply glowing in your own corner, surrounded by others, separated by silence but connected by light. Not all light finds its destination. Some of it begins its journey with every intention of shining through the dark, but never quite makes it. It wanders through the universe, slipping into shadows, falling into silence, and sometimes disappearing entirely. This may sound sad at first, but it is not. It is part of the softness of space. A kind of hush that folds gently around everything. Even light gets lost sometimes, and the universe simply lets it drift. When a star releases its glow, it sends out light in every direction. Billions of tiny waves ripple outward, carrying the story of that star's existence across the vast distances of space. But those waves are delicate. They can be bent, stretched, blocked, or scattered. Along the way, many of them run into things. Dust clouds drift between stars like fog over a quiet road. Gases and particles float in space, almost invisible, but always present. These are not obstacles. They are part of the environment through which light must pass. Some light is swallowed by dust, not in a harsh way, but in a gentle settling, like snow falling on a flame. It dims and fades, and sometimes transforms. Light that was once bright and visible can shift into forms our eyes can no longer see. It becomes infrared, or microwave, or something even softer. Still moving, still real, but now tucked just beneath the threshold of human sight. You could say that light is not lost, only hidden. Like a thought you almost remembered, or a dream you forget the moment you wake. Other light simply stretches too much. As the universe continues to expand, the space between galaxies grows wider. Light traveling through that space gets stretched along with it. This is not something we can feel, but the light does. It becomes longer and longer, its energy spreading out like a song played slower and slower, until eventually the melody is too low to hear at all. There is also light that changes course. Gravity bends space, and when light passes near something very massive, like a black hole or a dense galaxy, it curves. It arcs through space, like a feather caught on a breeze. Some of that light curves toward us, and we are lucky enough to catch it, but much of it does not. It is sent off in another direction, continuing on its way, unseen. This means that even though the universe is filled with light, much of it never reaches us. It does not vanish. It continues on, quietly. It becomes part of the background. a soft, steady hum beneath the louder notes of the stars we can see. The darkness in the night sky is filled with this hidden light, tucked between wavelengths, waiting patiently. So the next time you gaze into the dark and wonder where the light is, know that it is still there. It has not failed. It has not been forgotten. It is simply taking a different path, a quieter one that does not need to be seen to be meaningful. Let that thought settle into your breath. Let it rest on your chest like a warm blanket. Even the light that seems lost is still moving, still glowing, still part of the universe, just like you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the universe as a soft, rising loaf of bread, not something dramatic or violent, just a quiet and steady expansion. Space itself stretching not into something else, but into more of itself. The galaxies are not flying through the cosmos like shooting stars. They are simply being carried along, drifting farther and farther apart as space gently grows between them. This idea that the very fabric of space is expanding is one of those strange truths that seems almost too calm to be cosmic. But that is what is happening, not suddenly, not all at once, just slowly, patiently, all the time. As space stretches, the light moving through it stretches too. The same way a wave pulled across water becomes longer and slower, the light from distant galaxies grows quieter as it journeys through this expanding universe. This stretching is why the night sky is so dark. When light travels through space, it does not remain the same. It ages in a way, becoming softer, longer, more tired. Light that once would have reached us as a bright blue-white star becomes fainter. It turns redder, then even redder still, slipping past what we can see. It becomes invisible, not because it disappears, but because it no longer fits the tools our eyes have to notice it. Scientists call this redshift, but you don't need to remember that word. Just think of it as a yawn, a long, slow cosmic yawn that stretches the light until it is no longer quite what it used to be. This is not a loss, it is a transformation. Light does not vanish. It simply becomes quieter, still present, still important, just a little harder to hear. If you could see the universe from above, you would notice the galaxies being carried apart not by wind or by force, but by the space between them growing. There is no edge, no wall, just more space, opening like a flower blooming in slow motion. And in that opening, light must work harder to reach us. Some of it stretches so far that it cannot be seen at all. It becomes part of the deep background hum, the soft glow that still whispers through the dark, even if our eyes can no longer follow it. So the darkness of the sky is not only because of distance or age or invisibility, it is also because space itself is expanding. It is cradling everything in a slow, ever-widening embrace. The more it grows, the more light gets spread out, like butter across too much bread, as one quiet thinker once put it. It thins, it fades, it lingers, but softly. And as you drift tonight, wrapped in your own blankets and breathing at your own pace, you are expanding too, in your own quiet way. Not like galaxies or starlight, but like thought, like imagination, like understanding. You are stretching into a wider sense of wonder, into a night that is not dark because it is empty, but because it is full of stories that have grown quiet as they've grown far. Let the expansion soothe you. Let it stretch around you like a soft cocoon. There is no hurry. There is only space. There is only time. And there is only you, resting now, in the gentle calm of a growing universe. Imagine light as a voice a clear, steady tone singing out from the heart of a star. This voice is not loud, but it carries. It moves across the silent sea of space, singing its song to anyone who might be listening. You are one of those listeners, so is every telescope ever aimed at the sky. But what happens when this voice travels for a very long time through a universe that keeps growing? The answer is that the voice begins to change, not because it forgets its melody, but because the path grows longer. As space stretches, so does the sound. It deepens, slows. The once bright notes turn soft and low, and eventually the light no longer falls within the range of what we can hear or see. This gentle fading of light is not caused by the star getting tired. It is caused by the space between us getting larger. As galaxies move farther away, the light they send us gets stretched. Just like pulling on a ribbon, the waves of light grow longer. The colors shift. Blue becomes red. Red becomes infrared. Infrared becomes microwave. And then, finally, something quieter than even that. Something still there, but so slow, so stretched, so low that we no longer see it at all. This is not a sudden change. It is a gradual slipping, a patient migration from one type of light to another. And because we live inside a universe that is always expanding, every bit of light we see from faraway places is in the process of drifting away from our sight. The more distant the galaxy, the more its light has redshifted. The farther the voice travels, the softer it becomes. It is like watching someone wave from the far end of a long field. At first, you can see the gesture clearly. You can feel the meaning. But as they walk away, the movement becomes smaller. The details fade. The message is still being sent, but it becomes harder and harder to receive. Eventually, it becomes a suggestion rather than a signal. And finally, it becomes part of the background. But the message does not disappear. The light still exists. It simply slips away from our perception, joining the soft ocean of invisible waves that surrounds us every moment of every day. We are bathed in red-shifted light, in echoes of brightness that have turned into whispers. And this is why the night sky is dark in so many places. The light is still coming, still traveling, still singing. But we are no longer able to hear it in the way we used to. Its voice has grown too long, too low, too gentle, like a lullaby sung from the other side of time. So let the redshift comfort you. It means that the universe is changing slowly and peacefully. It means that light is not wasted. It just becomes more quiet with age. It means that everything is moving away, not in panic, but in patience. The stars are still speaking. They are just doing it in tones that belong to deep sleep. Breathe in the hush of that truth. Let it settle over you like soft starlight. Even if you cannot see it, the light is still there, traveling, stretching, singing its quiet song into the night. Before the stars, before the galaxies, before planets swirled and suns ignited, and atoms came together to dream themselves into life, there was something else. There was light. Not the kind that makes shadows on the ground or spills through windows at dawn. This was older, softer. It was the first light, still wrapped in warmth and still echoing through the universe even now. Though you cannot see it with your eyes, this ancient glow is everywhere. It fills every corner of space, from the emptiest vacuum to the room you are lying in now. Scientists call it the cosmic microwave background, but you can think of it as the afterglow of creation. A faint shimmer left behind after the universe first cooled enough for light to stretch its limbs and begin moving freely. It is the quiet heat of everything becoming. If you had microwave vision instead of ordinary sight, the night sky would never look black to you. it would be covered in a faint, uneven glow, not from stars, not from galaxies, but from the entire sky itself. A memory written in light, drifting in long, stretched-out waves across all of existence. This light is not bright anymore. It is not sharp or dramatic. It is background, the hush after the cosmic symphony's first movement, and it is still arriving, still here. Every second of every day it brushes past you. You are bathed in it without ever knowing. When old televisions used to flicker with static, a tiny part, the soul of that snow was this light, still humming from the beginning of time. You were watching the earliest whisper of the universe without even realizing it. This soft background glow is one of the most comforting pieces of cosmic evidence we have. It tells us that the universe had a beginning, that it grew and cooled, that it once shimmered with evenness and light, before the stars carved themselves out of the stillness and galaxies began to spin. The cosmic microwave background is like the embers of a fire that has long gone out, still gently warming the room long after the flames have quieted. And even though it is not visible to your eyes, this ancient glow fills the darkness between the stars. It is why the night is never truly dark. It carries the light from a time before time. It holds the memory of when everything was the same temperature, the same color, the same gentle breath of warmth. It is the first bedtime story the universe ever told. So, when you look up and see nothing, remember that you are seeing more than your eyes can know. You are gazing through a fabric woven with light so old it predates dreams, and you are part of that story. You are resting now in a world that still echoes with the hum of its own beginnings. Let that idea settle into your thoughts like a soft weight on your chest. You are floating in a sea of ancient warmth, invisible but real. The darkness that surrounds you is full of light that simply speaks too softly to be heard, and it is always there, always glowing, always holding you gently in its arms. There is something tender about the way the night falls, something that does not feel like absence but like memory. When the sun sets and the sky fades into black, we often think we are seeing a world without light. But darkness is not the opposite of light. It is where light used to be. It is the shape left behind by moments that have passed. A shadow, not of space, but of time. Think of the universe like a great canvas, not painted all at once, but slowly, over billions of years. Each galaxy a brushstroke, each star a glimmering note in a melody that stretches far beyond the reach of your ears. And just as a painting is not all color, the universe is not all light. It is the spaces between the brushstrokes that give the picture its depth, the silences between the notes that make the music breathe. And so, the darkness is not emptiness. It is structure. It is contrast. It is a reminder that something beautiful has happened and may happen again. When we gaze into the night sky, we are not looking into nothing. We are looking back, because light takes time to travel. Every point of light is a moment that already passed. Every star is a memory. Every dark patch is a silence that has not yet been filled. It is time made visible. The further you look, the older the universe becomes, until eventually there is nothing left to see. Not because it does not exist, but because its light has not reached us yet, or perhaps never will. In this way, the darkness above you is not a blank curtain. It is a quiet museum of time. Each shadow a pause, each absence a whisper. There are regions of the sky where galaxies will never be visible to us, because their light is trapped behind the expanding edges of the universe. They are there, but they will always remain just out of sight. Not because they are hidden, but because we arrive too late to see them. And still, we look up, not with sadness, but with wonder, because there is something deeply comforting in knowing that even time has a shape, that even silence has texture, that even in the darkest parts of the universe, there is story. A story told in the light that used to be, and in the darkness that softly holds what we cannot yet know. Let yourself sink into that thought. Let it wrap around you, like a blanket made of midnight. The sky is not a place where light ends. It is where time slows down just enough to be seen. It is the resting place of photons, of moments, of echoes from a universe that has been whispering for billions of years, and you, in this quiet moment, are part of that story too. Your heartbeat, your breath, your gentle stillness are all part of time's shape, just like the stars, just like the dark. Not all the darkness in the night sky is made of distance or time. Some of it comes from something more delicate, something much closer. Floating between the stars, scattered like powder over a cosmic tablecloth, there are grains of dust. Not the kind you sweep off shelves or sneeze away from windowsills, but ancient, patient dust made from stars themselves. Dust that drifts and dances slowly through the galaxy, moving like silt in a very still river. This dust forms soft blankets across the heavens, invisible to most eyes but always there. It clumps into clouds and veils and wisps that stretch for light years, casting gentle shadows over the glow of distant stars. They are not thick like curtains. They are translucent, like fog over distant hills or steam curling up from a warm drink on a cold evening. Light does make it through, but not all of it. Some of the starlight gets absorbed. Some is scattered into different directions. Some is softened to the point of disappearance. It is this cosmic dust that helps shape the way we see the sky. It quiets the brightness in some places. It hides entire nurseries of stars, cradling them in its folds as they form, and in doing so, it adds to the texture of space. Without it, the sky might seem sharper, more exposed. But because of it, the night has layers, depth, the feeling of a story still in progress. If you were to look at these dust clouds through the right kind of telescope, they would glow faintly in infrared light. Not bright, not flashy, just warm and slow. Some resemble gentle rivers of smoke winding through galaxies. Others look like soft brushstrokes across the background of stars. They are beautiful in a quiet way, like footprints in fresh snow. They do not announce themselves, but they are always present, and the dust is not lifeless. It is made from the ashes of stars that lived and died long before our planet was born. When stars explode, they do not vanish completely, they scatter themselves. They leave behind tiny pieces of their insides, which drift through the galaxy for millions of years. Those pieces eventually become dust. That dust then helps make new stars, new planets, new everything, including us. So when you look into the dark parts of the sky and wonder why some stars seem to disappear, remember that sometimes the darkness is not a void. It is a nursery, a resting place, a gathering of ancient stardust that will one day become light again. Let that image float in your mind as you breathe. Imagine the universe tucking itself in beneath these blankets of dust, not to hide, not to disappear, but to rest, to wait, to prepare the next chapter. The dust between the stars is not silence, it is a lull, a pause in the melody of the cosmos, a moment of stillness that makes the next note even more beautiful. And just like that dust, you too can rest, quietly, peacefully, carried in the slow drift of time. As you rest here beneath the sky, or perhaps indoors with only the thought of it in your mind, it is easy to forget that darkness is not always darkness. Sometimes it is simply the limit of what we can see. The world may be full of light, but our eyes, delicate and deeply personal, are not built to catch it all. They are wonderful, of course, brilliant in their own way, but also simple, tuned for survival more than for wonder, designed more for daylight than for stardust. Inside your eyes are tiny cells. Some help you see color, others help you see in low light. But even at their best, they can only detect a narrow sliver of all the light that exists. The colors you see are only a small part of the full spectrum. There are countless waves of light that your eyes cannot sense. Some are too long, some too short, some are simply not for you. They travel all around and through us, unseen, but always present. That means when you look up and see darkness, what you are really seeing is a place where your vision cannot reach. The stars may be glowing, the galaxies may be swirling, the cosmic background may be gently humming, but to your eyes, it appears quiet, blank, still. This is not a flaw, it is a kind of gift. It allows the universe to feel calm. It gives your imagination a place to wander, a canvas that is never fully painted. There is something deeply comforting in this idea, that we are not seeing nothing, but simply missing what is there. That the universe has more going on than we are able to notice. It reminds us that there is always more to discover, always more to understand, always more to feel, even when the world appears still. Even in total darkness, your body continues to glow, not in the way of fireflies or neon signs, but in gentle warmth, in the invisible light of infrared. If your eyes were tuned to that part of the spectrum, you would see your own skin faintly shining. So would every living creature around you. Even in the deepest night, you are not without light. You are made of it. You give it off with every breath, every heartbeat. So when you close your eyes and feel the weight of the dark around you, remember that some of that darkness is just the edge of your sight. It is not a wall, it is a doorway, and beyond it, the universe is still glowing, still dancing, still being itself, and you, small as you are still part of it. You are not lost inside the dark. You are resting inside a story too large to see all at once. Your eyes may close now, and they may not catch the light, but your mind can still feel it. The stars are still there, the galaxies are still there, the light is still traveling even if it passes silently through the veil of human vision. Let that be enough for now. Let it carry you into sleep, knowing that the dark is never total. It is just another side of the light. As night falls over cities and towns, the sky should be growing darker, but in many places, it never quite gets there. Street lamps flicker on, headlights sweep down long roads, glowing windows scatter warmth across sidewalks, and billboards glow with a brightness that never sleeps. It is easy to think of all this as safety, as progress, as comfort, but it comes at a cost that is almost invisible until you look up. Because when we light up the world around us, we drown out the stars above us. The lights we create spill upward, scattering across the sky, bouncing off particles in the air, and creating a dome of soft, glowing haze that blankets everything. This glow, so gentle and constant, is called light pollution, and it is why so many of us cannot see the stars the way our ancestors once did. You may think the night sky is growing darker, but in truth, it is only growing harder to see. The darkness is still there, the stars are still shining. The Milky Way still stretches in a luminous band across the heavens, but they are hidden, not by clouds or by distance, but by us, by the very lights we leave on while we sleep. There is something oddly poetic about this, that we, in trying to push back the night, have hidden the stars from ourselves. That in our efforts to light our homes and streets and cities, we have made it harder to see the one thing that has always connected us to something bigger. It is a paradox made of good intentions, a gentle mistake. For thousands of years, people lived under skies that were full of wonder. The stars were maps, clocks, calendars, companions. They told stories and marked seasons and reminded people that they were not alone. To lie under a truly dark sky, far from the hum of civilization, is to feel the universe again as it once was. Deep and alive, and full of quiet motion. But even now, even in cities full of light, there are still places where the stars slip through. Parks, beaches, mountaintops, or sometimes just those rare, unexpected blackouts where all the noise of modern light falls away and the sky comes back like a memory. For a moment, you see what has always been there, not a new sky, just an old one, finally visible. And perhaps that is the comfort in all this. The stars have not gone, they are not lost. They are only waiting behind the veil we have drawn across the sky. You do not need to reach them, you only need to remember they are there. So as you close your eyes tonight, know that above you, behind the soft ceiling of your room and the glow of your neighborhood and the lights humming in your city, the stars are still shining. The sky is still turning, the universe is still watching, still whispering, still glowing with quiet truth. It has not forgotten you, it is only waiting. And when the lights finally dim, it will be there again, as it always was, as it always will be. There was a time, not so long ago, when the night sky was a cathedral of stars, not just a scattering of familiar points of light, but a rich, glowing tapestry that stretched from horizon to horizon. People would step outside after sunset and look up to see not a handful of stars, but thousands. The Milky Way would pour across the sky like a river of milk, so clear and so dense with starlight that it felt alive. For nearly all of human history, this was the sky we knew. Long before electricity, before streetlights and glowing signs, before cities pulsed with their own artificial sunrise, the darkness was true and full, and with that darkness came clarity. The stars were not just distant suns, they were stories, companions, reminders that we lived inside a vast and beautiful mystery. Imagine walking through the world lit only by firelight, the crackle of wood, the hush of the wind through trees, and above it all a sky so bright with stars that you could navigate by them. You could tell the time, the season, the direction of home. People knew the constellations not as abstract shapes in a planetarium, but as friends that returned each year. Orion rising in the winter, Scorpius in the summer. The slow spin of the sky was as familiar as the turning of the earth beneath your feet. In the desert, on mountain peaks, across the open plains, people lay on their backs and watched the sky swirl overhead. They saw shooting stars not as rare events, but as regular visitors. They saw comets trailing their icy breath. They watched the moon wax and wane, and they told stories about its changing face. The sky was a kind of clock, a calendar, a classroom, a myth, a mirror. It taught lessons without speaking. It offered perspective without demanding anything in return. And in the deepest dark, it reminded every watcher how small they were and how connected they were to everything above. Now, most of us live under a different kind of sky, a sky muted by the glow of our own invention. The stars are still there, but the richness has faded. The constellations are harder to trace. The Milky Way is, for many, something they have never truly seen, and yet, the memory of that sky still lives in us. You may not remember seeing it, but part of you still reaches for it, still longs for the quiet awe it brings, the stories written in starlight, the silence filled with meaning. Tonight, as you rest and close your eyes, imagine that ancient sky above you. Imagine the way it must have looked to someone 1,000 years ago, lying in a field, eyes wide, heart open. Imagine the stars not as distant science, but as luminous beings keeping gentle watch over the sleeping earth. The dark was never something to be afraid of, it was something to listen to. And the stars were never just lights, they were messages, they were memories, they were home. You are not separated from that world, you are made from it. And even if your eyes do not see what they once saw, your heart still remembers. When the sky darkens and the stars begin to appear, it feels as though the sun has vanished. It slips beneath the horizon, and suddenly everything changes. The warmth fades, shadows stretch, and that familiar glow that carried you through the day is gone, but it has not disappeared. The sun is still shining, still burning, still bathing the earth with its light. It has only turned its face towards someone else. Night, you see, is not the absence of the Sunday, it is the turning of the earth. A gentle rotation, slow and steady, that brings different parts of the world in and out of sunlight. While you rest beneath a quiet sky, someone else is waking to morning. As your windows dim, another place is filled with golden light. Somewhere, birds are beginning to sing. Somewhere, tea is being poured beside a rising Sunday. This rotation is a rhythm. It is the planet's lullaby, one full turn every 24 hours, not hurried, not loud, just the earth rolling under a single light, again and again, like a child turning beneath a warm blanket. So when you look at the dark sky and feel the sun is far away, know that it is still close, just on the other side of the globe, just beyond the curve of the horizon, shining down on fields and oceans and cities while you sleep. It is not lost, it is simply sharing itself, the way we all must do. A little light here, a little warmth there, pass gently between us. Even the light that does reach you at night is often borrowed. The moon shines because it reflects the Sunday, so do the planets, so does the glow on the clouds and the glimmer on the sea. The night is not without the Sunday, it is touched by it, echoed by it, softly lit by pieces of it that have travelled just a little farther. If you could rise above the earth and look down, you would see this rotation like the slow turning of a globe in space, one half lit bright, the other half wrapped in darkness, and always spinning, always balancing day and night. It is a cosmic seesaw, a quiet balance, and within this balance there is comfort, because it means night is not an ending, it is not a break in the light, it is part of the pattern, just as essential, just as meaningful. The sun is not retreating from you, it is resting, trusting the earth to hold you for a while in its shadow, trusting that when it returns, you will be ready to wake. So as you rest here tonight, know that you are not abandoned in darkness. You are being given space to sleep, to breathe, to dream. The sun has not gone. It has simply moved to another part of the story, and soon enough, it will come back, quietly, slowly, just as it always does, because it never really leaves, it only takes turns. There are places in the universe where light simply does not escape, not because it forgets how to shine, or because it is tired, but because it has fallen into something so strange, so deep, that not even brightness can find its way back. These places are called black holes, and though the name might sound cold or frightening, they are more like cosmic sighs than monsters, quiet pockets of gravity where everything, including light, slips beyond reach. A black hole begins its life as a star, not a soft star or a gentle one, but a massive one, a giant burning force that lives fast and bright, burning its fuel until it can no longer hold itself together. And when that moment comes, the star collapses inward. It folds itself in, tighter and tighter, until it becomes something so dense, so small, so heavy, that space itself curves around it like a blanket. If light passes too close to a black hole, it cannot turn back. The pull is too strong, the path too steep. The light bends and spirals and finally disappears across a boundary called the event horizon. That horizon is not a wall, it is simply the last point where anything can still escape. Once something passes through, it becomes part of the black hole forever, not erased, just hidden, quiet, unreachable. This is why black holes add to the darkness of the universe, not because they spread darkness, but because they hold on to light, they keep it tucked away, and from our point of view, that light is gone. But the black hole still feels it, still carries it, still adds it to its invisible mass. Despite their mystery, black holes are not rare, they hide all across the universe. Some are small, the size of a city, others sit in the centers of galaxies, as large as millions of suns, including our own. At the heart of the Milky Way, far beyond the clouds and the constellations, there is a supermassive black hole spinning quietly in the dark. It is not swallowing everything around it. It is not angry or hungry. It is simply present, still, immense, a silent center that holds our galaxy in its gentle grip. If you stood near a black hole, and if somehow you could survive, the sky would behave differently. Time would slow down, light would bend. You might see the same star appear more than once, its light circling the black hole like water swirling down a drain. And then there would be the shadow, the round, silent space where nothing can escape, not even a whisper of light. But from far away, these black holes do not steal the show. They are nearly invisible. Just a little more darkness in a universe already full of shade. Yet they shape galaxies, they guide stars, and they remind us that some parts of the universe prefer silence over spectacle. So, as you drift tonight, think of these quiet giants. Think of how they hold the light, how they change the rules, how they deepen the mystery. They do not make the universe less beautiful. They make it more tender, more thoughtful, and maybe that is what darkness is too. Not a threat, just a place where light has curled in on itself, waiting, resting, becoming something else. Let us follow one particle of light, just one. Imagine it forming deep inside a star, somewhere far away, not near Earth, not even near our galaxy. Picture a quiet corner of the universe, where a star is burning steadily, wrapped in clouds of gas, pulsing softly in the dark. Within that star, pressure and heat squeeze hydrogen into helium, and in the process, a spark of light is born. That spark is our photon. It begins its journey in the crowded, busy interior of the star. But it cannot just fly straight out. Not yet. The core of a star is not empty. It is so dense that our little photon must push and squeeze and bounce its way out. Every time it moves forward, it hits something else and is scattered in a new direction. This part of its journey is slow, almost comically slow. It can take thousands, even millions of years for a single photon to escape the star that made it. But eventually, It does. It makes it to the surface, and there it finds the freedom to fly, to move at the speed of light, which is the fastest anything in the universe can go. It sets off across space, no longer bouncing, but gliding, smooth and straight, with nothing but distance in front of it. This photon may travel for thousands of years, or millions, or billions, through dust and gas, through voids and clusters, past galaxies that spin quietly in the background. It is not thinking, it is not choosing, it is simply moving forward, as light always does. Eventually, it approaches our galaxy, then our solar system, then Earth itself. It enters our atmosphere, slips through clouds or clear skies, and lands softly on a mountain or a tree or maybe the roof of a quiet house. Maybe it passes through a window, maybe it finds its way to your pillow, or perhaps, just perhaps, it lands on your eye. That tiny moment where the photon finishes its journey is what we call seeing. It is what we experience as starlight. Not a glow that lives in the sky, but a message from far away that has traveled all this time to reach you. You are not looking at a star, you are being touched by something it sent long ago. And that is what makes the darkness between stars feel so profound, because even though the sky appears mostly empty, it is filled with these travelers, light on its way, messages still moving. Photons born in places we have never seen, crossing the universe in silence, just to arrive on a planet spinning in the quiet corner of a galaxy. You are a witness to that journey, a destination for a particle of light that could have gone anywhere. And all around you, other photons are arriving too, some from the moon, some from your lamp, some from galaxies whose names we may never know. So the next time you see a single star twinkle, think of everything that light had to pass through to reach you. Think of how long it traveled, how far, how gently, how patient it had to be, and let that thought soothe you. You are not just looking at the night, you are receiving stories that were written in fire and carried through time. When you look into the night sky, you are not just looking across distance, you are looking across time. The farther away something is, the longer its light has taken to reach you. So the stars above your head are not what they are now, they are what they were. Every point of light is a glimpse into the past. Some of the stars you see tonight may no longer exist. Others are still burning strong. Some are just being born in clouds of dust you cannot see. But all of them are showing you who they were, not who they are, because the light we receive now is old. It left its source long ago and has been traveling ever since. You are looking into time zones written in starlight. There is something gentle about that, the idea that time does not move in the same way everywhere. That space is not just a place, but a layer, a curtain, a path through different chapters of the same story. The deeper you look, the earlier the story becomes. As if the universe is letting you read from the beginning, page by glowing page. Light from the moon takes about a second to reach us. Light from the sun takes a little, more than 8 minutes. But light from some of the stars you can see with your eyes tonight has taken hundreds of years to get here. That means the light you are seeing began its journey long before you were born. It has crossed centuries to find you. It has traveled through wars and peace, through storms and silence, through ages of thought and memory and sleep. And that is only the beginning. When we point our most powerful telescopes into the sky, we see galaxies whose light has traveled for billions of years. We see them not as they are, but as they were when the universe was young, tiny, just beginning to bloom. Those galaxies may have changed completely since then. Some may have collided with others, some may have grown bright, some may no longer shine at all, but we would not know, because we are still waiting to receive the next chapter of their story. It is like looking into a mirror that shows not your face, but the face of your grandparents, or their grandparents, or the first person who ever looked up at the stars and wondered. And because light takes time to travel, we are always out of sync with the universe, always seeing what was, not what is. But rather than feeling distant from it, this can bring us closer, because the sky is not static. It is full of movement, full of echoes, full of memories. So when you lie back and watch the stars, remember that you are not just stargazing, you are time traveling. Your eyes are windows into the past. The blackness between the stars is filled with time you have not reached yet. The glow you see is older than your name, older than your language, older than your dreams. And the universe, patient as ever, continues to send these lights across the ages, just in case someone like you is there to see them, to remember, to wonder. There is a question that floats through the mind like a feather caught on a still breeze, a question so simple that it almost feels like a dream. How far does darkness go? Where does it end, if it ends at all? If you were to fly upward, past the clouds, past the stars, past the galaxies, and into the quiet between them, how long would you travel before you reach the edge of night? The answer is soft, and it is strange. You would never reach the end, because darkness is not something with a border. It is not a wall you can touch, or a ceiling you can press your hands against. Darkness is a part of space, just like the light that moves through it. It stretches on and on, not because it is trying to be endless, but because it does not know how to stop. As you move through space, the stars grow thinner. At first, you leave behind the warmth of the sun and the company of the planets. Then you pass the last wisps of the solar system and enter the black ocean beyond. Here, the stars still shine, but they feel farther away. The space between them grows wider, the sky becomes quieter, and still, you drift. Still, the darkness continues. It does not grow heavier, it does not grow louder, it simply becomes more. It surrounds you, like water surrounds a pearl at the bottom of the sea. It is not hostile, it is not empty, it is only wide. You pass galaxies, clusters, filaments of stars braided across unimaginable distances. You pass through spaces so large that entire galaxies appear as faint smudges, like dust on a mirror. And between those galaxies, more darkness waits, not as a threat, not as a punishment, just as a place without immediate light, a room waiting for its candle to arrive. Even now, after all the science and the measurements and the instruments we have pointed at the sky, we still cannot find the edge. The universe may be infinite, or it may curve softly in on itself, like the surface of a sphere too large to hold in the mind. Either way, the darkness has no finish line, no boundary, no curtain you can lift to reveal what comes next. But this is not unsettling. It is soothing, because it means there is always more, always another, a stretch of quiet, always another place for light to one day arrive. The darkness is not a void, it is a canvas, a field, a garden waiting patiently for stars that have not yet been born. And perhaps that is the comfort of it, that you do not need to understand how far the darkness goes in order to find peace in it. You only need to let it hold you, to let it stretch around you like a soft blanket, to let it remind you that some things are meant to remain open, some mysteries do not need closing. As you breathe now, slow and easy, think of how far the dark goes. Think of the endless space that waits beyond the stars. Think of how it holds every glow, every whisper, every beginning and every ending, and know that you are safe in it. floating quietly in the middle of forever. The sky above you tonight is still full of light. There are stars burning in every direction. There are galaxies shining softly just beyond what your eyes can see. There is light on the way from places you do not yet know exist. But in the far future, in a time so distant it feels more like poetry than prediction, the night sky will slowly grow darker. It will not happen quickly, not in your lifetime, not in the next 100 generations, but one day the stars will begin to fade. Not because they are being taken away, but because they are finishing their long, beautiful lives. Stars do not burn forever. They are not eternal flames. They are slow-burning engines of warmth and light, patiently fusing elements in their hearts, shining for billions of years until they quietly grow cold. Some will expand and collapse. Others will shrink and cool. Many will become white dwarfs, small and glowing for a long time before they finally go dark. A few will become black holes or neutron stars, invisible except through the way they tug on the space around them. And slowly, gently, the light in the universe will dim. There will still be stars for a long time, long enough that Earth itself may no longer exist by the time the last ones shine. But eventually, the fuel will run out. There will be no more new stars born. The last galaxies will flicker with the final warmth of their oldest suns. And when that moment comes, the night sky will change in a way no one alive today could imagine. Where once there were constellations and stories and patterns of twinkling light, there will be darkness, stillness, silence. The stars we now see will be memories, their light long gone. The sky, once full, will become a shadow of what it was. But there is beauty in this too. Because even in that quiet future, the universe will not be over. It will simply be different. The darkness will not be a tragedy. It will be a resting place, a deep breath after an age of brightness. The cosmos will keep moving. Black holes will continue to drift. Tiny particles will hum in the background. And light, though rarer, will still exist in places we cannot guess. And maybe, in some distant corner of space, something will still glow. Not brightly, not for long, but enough to shine for a moment. Enough to remind whatever is there that light once filled everything. It is easy to imagine this as an ending, but it is more like a pause, a closing chapter in a story that has never been rushed. The universe has never moved quickly. It has always taken its time. And as it grows older, it will take even more. So let this thought bring peace, not sadness. Because the light you see now is here. It is part of your sky, part of your night. The stars are still burning for you. Their photons are still arriving. Their stories are still being told. And for now, while you sleep, the future can wait. The stars can shine. The sky can hold every sparkle, and you, small and bright in your own way, can rest beneath them. Even when the sky is dark, even when the stars are hidden, even when the power goes out and every window is closed and the night feels like it has swallowed everything, you are still surrounded by light. More than that, you are made of it. Not in the way a candle burns or a screen flickers, but in a deeper, quieter way. Your body gives off warmth. That warmth is a kind of light, stretched into longer wavelengths your eyes cannot see. If you could shift your vision just a little, you would see yourself glowing. Your hands, your skin, your breath. All of it gently shimmering with invisible energy. This glow is not special to you. It belongs to all living things. A dog curled in sleep, a tree standing still in moonlight, a bird nestled in its nest. All of them are glowing too, not like stars, not like flames, but like soft lanterns tucked inside the folds of the world. The light is always there, even if it never reaches your eyes. Even the earth glows, not brightly, not in the visible way that makes shadows or silhouettes, but in that same quiet warmth. From deep beneath the crust, heat left over from the planet's birth still rises. The ground breathes it out in slow waves, radiating softly into the night sky. And if you could see in infrared, the planet would never look dark to you. It would look alive. Everything is glowing all the time. A blanket left in the sun will glow for a while after you bring it inside. A rock warmed by the day will release its heat in small pulses. Even the air around you is full of tiny bursts of warmth and motion, and in all this gentle release, there is light. You are not separate from this. You are part of it. Your body hums with the energy of the food you have eaten, the sun you have walked beneath, the movements you have made. That energy does not disappear. It changes, it flows, it becomes heat. And that heat is light, slow and subtle, but still there. It is a comforting thought, that even when everything seems quiet, something inside you continues to shine, that you are never truly in the dark, that no matter how deep the night becomes, there is always a glow within you. And this light is not only physical, it is emotional, it is spiritual, it is memory and imagination and wonder. You carry stories, you carry thoughts that spark quietly like stars inside your mind. You are never just a body resting in the dark. You are a flicker of something bright and ancient and ongoing. So as you lie here now, listening, breathing, drifting towards sleep, remember that you are glowing, gently, constantly. You are part of the light that fills the universe, part of the warmth that moves through everything. You are not alone in the darkness. You are one of its lights. And even in your dreams, you carry that glow with you. There is a stillness to darkness that does not need to be explained. It simply exists. It holds things. It carries silence in a way that nothing else does. And perhaps that is why the night sky feels like such a gentle place to rest our thoughts, because somewhere inside that darkness, we feel something familiar. Something that does not ask us to understand, but only to listen. We often think of darkness as separation, as the space between stars, between galaxies, between us. But if you look a little closer, you begin to see that darkness is not what keeps things apart. It is what holds them together. It is the medium through which everything is connected. The stars shine through the same darkness. The galaxies glow against the same backdrop. We sleep beneath the same sky, wrapped in the same quiet. When you look into the night, you are seeing what others see from deserts, mountains, islands, cities, faraway places you will never visit. And yet the darkness is shared. It is the great, unbroken canvas that stretches above us all. It is easy to forget that we are part of the universe, that we are not simply living under the sky, but within it. The atoms that make up your body were forged in stars. The air you breathe was shaped by time and gravity. The thoughts you think are the product of billions of years of movement, cooling, collapsing, expanding. You are not separate from the night. You are part of what makes it beautiful. And the darkness is not cold, it is not empty. It is patient, it is kind. It is the space that gives light a place to arrive. The quiet that allows brightness to be noticed. The breath between notes in the universe's slow song. Even now, as your body begins to soften into sleep, as your thoughts begin to stretch and drift, you are being held in that quiet space. You are surrounded by a darkness that has never been alone. Every patch of sky that looks blank is simply waiting for more light. Every shadow you see is cast by something that once glowed. In that way, the darkness reminds us that something came before, that something will come after, that even in stillness there is story. So maybe the darkness is not there to frighten us, or confuse us, or even to puzzle us. Maybe it is there to comfort us, to give our eyes a place to rest, to give our minds a chance to wander gently. Maybe it is not the opposite of light, but the home it returns to. And maybe, just maybe, that is all we need to know. That in the space between stars, in the pause between galaxies, in the silence between questions, we are connected to each other, to the sky, to everything. And in that connection, there is peace. And so, dear listener, as your breathing slows and the room fades into softness, know this: the darkness above us is not a void. It's not an absence. It's a lullaby in disguise. A cradle of space and time that lets stars shine more brightly by contrast. It is filled with light that hasn't yet arrived, galaxies too far to greet us, and stories still unfolding on cosmic timelines. The night sky is dark not because it is empty, but because it is deep, ancient, and still humming with things unseen. So as you drift further into sleep, let your thoughts wander like photons through space, slow, soft, and patient. Let your dreams be full of silent stars, gentle questions, and answers that whisper more than they explain. Thank you for spending this quiet time with me. Sleep well, and may your dreams be full of stardust, shadow, and sleepy light. Good night.